So you live in an apartment, studio flat, duplex, whatever you want to call it. This video is for you. Here are 10 shit hit the fan items for your apartment. The emergency alert blares and then nothing. Just a deafening silence as the power grid clicks off. Most people crammed into a high rise, this is where panic sets in. The lights are out, the water's gone, and the elevators are dead. You're on the 14th floor and this is the start of a nightmare. That's not your story though, is it? You're not panicking. Why? Because you were smart. You saw how fragile that modern life can be and you took real steps to turn your small apartment into a genuine safe haven. Okay then guys, let's start with number 1, and that's water. Let's kick this off with the big one then. You absolutely have to have this resource. You cannot survive without it for more than 3 days. Water. When a real crisis hits, city water systems are one of the first things that are going to go down. They run on electrical pumps, so no power means no water pressure. On that high-rise floor, nothing's pumping that water up. Very soon, those taps are going to run dry. Now, if you live in an apartment, you're already asking the big question, where in the world do I store enough water? The rule of thumb is 1 gallon per person per day for just a 3-day emergency. That's 3 huge jugs for 1 person, and that barely covers drinking. Space is a luxury that I'm going to guess you don't have. Now this is where you have to get clever. So forget those bulky round jugs. You need to look into space station options like stackable water bricks or sturdy water bags. You can slide these under your bed, stash them in the back of a closet, or even use them as a base for a makeshift nightstand. Now honestly, one of the slickest solutions for an apartment dwellers is a bathtub water bladder like the water bob. The second you know trouble is brewing, you unfold it in your bathtub and you fill it up with 100 gallons, yes, 100 gallons of fresh water. And this is while the pressure is still on. Now this one item can solve your biggest water problem instantly, but only in the short term, and you always need a backup. So a high quality water filter, or 3, like Soya Mini or a Life Straw, is completely non-negotiable, guys. It lets you make any questionable water source safe to drink. If there's 3 of you living in that apartment, I'd have 6. Because when the weather gets cold, the water that's left in the filter, they're likely to crack, expand, break and not work anymore. So always have a backup for your backup. 2 is 1, 1 is none. Remember that. Number 2 on the list then, guys, is food. So water's handled. The next clock that starts ticking is food. Most people in the city have 3 to 5 days of food at home. I say most because a lot of people only eat takeaways. Now when the grocery stores are picked clean in a matter of hours, and yes, it will be hours, your pantry is all you've got. The name of the game here is shelf stable, no cook or low cook foods. You want dense calories that don't hog space and don't need a 5-burner stove to prepare. Your prepper pantry should be built on things like canned tuna, chicken, beans, soups. Load up on protein bars, energy bars, dried fruits, nuts, and don't sleep on freeze-dried meals, the kind that backpackers swear by. They are lightweight, incredibly lightweight. They can last for 30 years easily, and all they need is a little water. Just remember the golden rule of prepping. Store what you eat and eat what you store. Rotate your stocks so nothing gets bad, and make sure you like what you buy. And for the love of all that is holy, please do not forget a simple, tough manual can opener, or 3. So staring at a can you can't open is a special kind of frustrating, and it is completely preventable disaster. Can openers aren't expensive, guys. Make sure you have a few. Number 3 then, guys, is first aid. So when the shit hits the fan, 911 if you're in America, 999 or 112 in the UK is going to be a little bit busy. Simple cut or stomach bug can spiral into a massive life-threatening problem if you can't treat it yourself. Never underestimate those cuts and always clean those wounds. You have to become your own first responder, and that begins with a solid first aid kit. And I don't mean one of those cheap pre-made kits down from the pound shop or at the supermarket. Now it's a start, but you need to build a kit that's tailored to you. It has to have the basics: bandages, antiseptic, wipes, gauze, medical tape. Zinc oxide tape is another good one as well. Scissors, tweezers, even a tick tweezer as well, because they are good. But you need to go beyond that. Pack pain relievers, anti-diarrhea medicine, rehydration sachets and allergy meds. And if you or a family member rely on prescription medications, having a 30-day supply on hand isn't a suggestion, it's an absolute critical. I take thyroxine for an underactive thyroid, so I need to stock up on that. What do you need to stock on? Comment below. Think about the specific risks that you might face: burns, deep cuts, sprains. Consider adding a tourniquet. I have first aid certificates with tourniquet, so I have a tourniquet in my first aid kit. Never try and use a tourniquet unless you've been trained in how to use one, because you could do more damage than good. But if you know how to use it, carry one. You could have blood clotting gauze and splints to your kit. Your apartment might be your safe space, but accidents happen, and when you're the only help around, your first aid kit might just be the most important prep that you have in your stores. Number 4 then, guys, light and power. Now, when the grid fails, the darkness is total, it's disorientating and it's dangerous. Your phone's flashlight isn't a long-term plan, and you need to save that battery for communication, and that's if it's even working. Every single apartment prepper needs multiple redundant light sources. Now, my top recommendation are headlamps. They keep your hands free so that you can cook, fix something or hold a tool. Get several, and beyond that, invest in some quality LED flashlights and lanterns. Stockpile extra batteries for all of them, and for heaven's sake, keep them organised so you're not fumbling for an AA in the pitch black. You might also want to put them in a Faraday cage. You can buy Faraday boxes to store electrical items. Nobody's 100% sure that if we were to be hit by an EMP, whether that's from nuclear or from the sun, whether it would actually take out smaller items like torches. So if you want to keep them, protect them. Now, batteries do eventually die. That's why you need rechargeable and self-powered gear. A hand crank solar powered flashlight is a must-have for keeping your phone alive. A small solar powered bank is perfect, and if you've got a balcony or even just a sunny window, a small set of portable solar panels hooked up to a solar generator is an absolute game changer. Or one of them little battery pack thing. I've got a little square battery pack thing that my wife bought me in my tent box. Some solar panels hooked up to that, and it's absolutely brilliant. Now, these things are silent, they don't produce fumes, and they're safe for indoor use. They can run small devices, keep your gear charged, and give you a precious slice of normality. Number 5 then, guys, is information. Don't underestimate this. In the middle of a citywide emergency, information is just as critical as food and water. Is help coming? Are there parts of the city to avoid? What is actually going on? What's caused this emergency? Your phone and the internet are probably going to be useless, but this is where old school tech makes a glorious comeback. You absolutely must have a battery powered or hand cranked emergency radio. Now, find a model that picks up the NOAA weather alert channels. This is where government agencies are going to broadcast critical updates. The radio is your lifeline to the outside world when everything else is silent. Now, some of them even come with a flashlight and a USB port to give your phone a little juice. Personally, I wouldn't use that USB port for a little juice, because I'm going to be wanting to save that power for my radio, and it's going to absolutely drain it. I'd use something else. But that's down to you. Knowing what's happening beyond your 4 walls isn't just about tactics, it's a huge psychological boost. Alright, and guys, that is the first 5. We have covered the absolute bedrock of survival. We've got water, food, first aid, light, and information. Okay, so if your brain is already spinning with the ideas and you're mentally rearranging your closet, do me a favour, hit that subscribe button down below. I am all about practical, realistic prepping for the world that we actually live in. Okay then, let's get to the less glamorous stuff, but every bit as vital. Moving on then to number 6. Now, I said it was less glamorous, and it is sanitation and hygiene. Very important. Now, let's talk about things that nobody wants to talk about. It's the one that can make or break your survival in an apartment. When the water's off, toilets don't flush, and apartment buildings without working sanitation can become a biological nightmare in just a few days. You need a waste management plan, period. And I don't mean standing on the balcony and taking a piss on everyone who's walking below, as funny as that may seem to some of you. The simple answer is a 5-gallon bucket with a snap-on toilet seat. Now, line it with a heavy-duty bin bag, and after you use it, throw it in a scoop of kitty litter or sawdust to manage the odour. When the bag's full, you seal it up tight, put it in another bag, and then store it somewhere isolated. Your balcony is perfect for this if you actually have one. Now, you'll also want a mountain of moist towelettes, so wet wipe, hand sanitizer, and disinfectant wipes to keep yourself and your space clean. Guys, sanitation is important. A breakdown in sanitation leads to disease, and disease that is silent killer is in any disaster. Disease will kill up to 90% of the population in a catastrophic apocalyptic disaster. Nailing this part of the plan is what separates the prepared from the panic. Look at the 1900s, cholera, and all of that due to disease. We do not want to go back there, do we? Okay then, guys, moving on to number 7, and that is tools. In a world without power, you're the repairman. Things are going to break, stuff is going to get stuck, and you might even need to board up a window or two. A small but very versatile toolkit is essential. It is the absolute king of your kit. Should be a quality multi-tool like a Leatherman or a Victorian Oxford Army knife. That one thing is your pliers, wire cutter, screwdriver, and all-in-one multi-tool. But don't stop there. A roll of duct tape, legend for a reason. It can fix almost anything, and if you can't fix it, cable ties, gaffer tape, and paracord, it's probably time to bin it. Now, a sturdy pry bar as well, or a crowbar, is invaluable whether you're trying to get a jam door open, self-defense, or You want to use it to jam a door, because you can use it to jam a door as well, guys. And finally, know how to shut off the utilities to your specific apartment. Have the wrench key or the key you know to turn off the gas or water main. That knowledge could save your life. Don't forget, there's also water in those radiators. Have you got a radiator key? So moving on to number 8, warmth and shelter. Your apartment is your shelter, but if the grid goes down in February, that shelter can get dangerously cold. Hypothermia is no joke. Even indoors, you need a way to stay warm that doesn't depend on furnaces. Every year you hear horror stories in the UK of old folks succumbing to hypothermia because they haven't got the money to afford to heat their houses. They're choosing food over heat and they are succumbing to hypothermia. It is a big dangerous problem in an emergency situation. Now, the obvious would be to stock up on warm clothes and extra blankets. Woolen fleece are your best friend. Your next layer of defence is the humble Mylar space blanket. They're ridiculously cheap and compact, but they're amazing at reflecting your own body heat back at you. Use them to line your sleeping bag or build a small blanket fort in one room. Now, if you're thinking about an indoor heater, you have to be incredibly careful here, guys. Most fuel burning heaters are going to kill you with carbon monoxide. Only use heaters specifically rated for indoor use, and you must have a battery operated carbon monoxide detector right next to it. The safest bet, insulate one small room, use blankets to cover windows, block the draft under the door and create a microclimate where your own body helps to keep the space livable. In an emergency situation, you set your apartment on fire, there might not be the emergency services coming to help you and that entire block could burn down, so be careful. Number 9, documents and cash. When disaster hits, the digital world we rely on could just disappear. ATMs are going to be dead, credit cards won't swipe, and your records might be inaccessible. This is why you need a bug out binder. This will have hard copies of your most important documents. Get a waterproof, fireproof pouch and fill it with copies of birth certificates, passports, social security cards, NI cards, driver's licenses, and a deed to your home or car title. Your logbook, in other words, in the UK. Add in your insurance policies, bank info, and a printed list of emergency contacts if you ever have to prove who you are. These papers are going to be priceless. And right alongside those documents, you need cash. Specifically small bills. In a grid down world, cash will be king. Trust me, no one is going to be able to break a $100 bill. Having 5s, 10s and 20s even will let you buy or barter for things that you might desperately need. That change jar you've got full of pound coins as well, sat over in the corner that you keep dropping 1 or 2 in every week, that's going to become very, very helpful. It's not like 30 years ago when the credit card machines go down and then they'd use that old way to put it on and they'd swipe it over the carbon paper and let you out their doors with whatever you wanted. It doesn't work like that anymore. You need cash. Now, last and certainly not least is number 10, and that is security and escape. Now, in an apartment, you're not on the ground floor, which is good, but you have shared hallways and potentially dozens of desperate, unprepared neighbours who've got no food, no water, they're cold and they are desperate. So your number 1 job is to not look like a target. Blackout curtains are a must. If you're the only apartment with a light on, you're advertising that you've got supplies. Be the grey man. Stay dark, stay quiet. You also need a way out. What if there's a fire? The elevators are out, the lifts are out, so you better know where every single stairwell is. If you're on a lower floor, an emergency escape ladder is a brilliant investment. For everyone, a simple whistle is a powerful signal tool. And if you're forced to leave, you need sturdy shoes and a physical map of your area ready to go. Yes, you can still buy A to Z. The goal is to survive in your apartment, but you always need a plan to get out if staying put becomes the bigger risk. So, in conclusion then, guys, there it is. There are 10 areas you need to focus on to turn your apartment from a potential cage into a fortress of self-reliance. Water, food, first aid, light, power, information, sanitation, tools, warmth, documents and security. Prepping in a small space isn't about having a warehouse of gear. It's about having the right gear, and it takes some creativity and a clear-eyed look at the challenges you face in a real urban disaster. Now, by covering these 10 bases, you're building a foundation that will get you through almost anything. What you put on top of that foundation is down to you and your personal situation. What did I miss then, guys? What's the one piece of gear that you've got in your apartment kit that you absolutely swear by? Drop it down in the comments below and let me know what I missed. We all learn from each other, so stop worrying and start preparing. So that about wraps this video up then, guys. Thank you for staying till the end. I appreciate you watching. So please like, share, subscribe, hit that bell button and you know when I put out a new video. But most importantly, guys, stay safe.